morning. Today is Monday, June 5th, 2017. We are here live in the International Space Station Flight Control Room at the NASA Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, awaiting the capture of the Dragon cargo vehicle for the SpaceX Commercial Resupply Mission 11. As we speak, the SpaceX cargo vehicle has departed the 250-meter holding point and is slowly closing in to the International Space Station. Right here, you're getting a view of the Cuckoo workstation. This is the view, the monitor that our two astronauts in the cupola workstation aboard the International Space Station now are getting a view. Those numbers to the right are indicating that it is now just about 223 meters and closing, approaching the International Space Station for capture scheduled today at 9 a.m. Central Time. Here in Mission Control Houston, leading the teams today, Flight Director Ed Van Cise. Next to him, the Capcom, Nicole Mann from Astronaut Class 2013. They'll be talking with Mission Director Brian Coffey over in Hawthorne, California, with the SpaceX flight control teams there. Mission Manager is Sarah Walker. Back in the room, talking with the visiting vehicle officer, Paul Lane. He'll be talking with a NASA official in California and relaying vehicle status updates to the flight director. Working with the teams here in the ground, the two astronauts in the cupola workstation operating today's the robotic arm for capture today, NASA astronaut Jack Fisher and NASA astronaut Peggy Whitson standing by.
Station on 2 for Black Bravo. The O3 camera on monitor 1 is about the same, and on monitor 3, O9 has converged and is lining up nicely.
Houston copies Peggy, Block B nominal.
Confirmation from Peggy Whitson aboard the International Space Station now to Nicole Mann, the Capcom. SpaceX departed the 250-meter holding point a few minutes ago, now just about to pass the Keep Out sphere. This is a 200-meter sort of circle or ellipsoid around this craft.
Inside the 200-meter Keep Out sphere, crew now has authority to issue an abort if no comm with Houston and light is outside the corridor.
And station copies.
With that confirmation that the spacecraft has now passed that 200-meter holding point, and again, just to confirm now, the spacecraft, SpaceX cargo vehicle Dragon, is now within range of the International Space Station. Peggy Whitson and Jack Fisher in the cupola workstation can initiate an abort command if necessary. Now passing the Keep Out sphere, the 200-meter sphere around the International Space Station, its next stop will be the 30-meter holding point. That 30-meter holding point is scheduled for just under an hour from now. We'll be in an orbital nighttime by the time that happens. We'll go through a go, no-go procedure here in Mission Control and then depart that 30-meter holding point, awaiting for capture again at 9 a.m. Central Time today. It's been quite an eventful few days in terms of spaceflight, starting with Friday. On June 2nd, Thomas Pesquet and Oleg Novitsky landed in Kazakhstan at 9:10 a.m. Central Time after 196 days in space. That sort of kicked off the dynamic activities for the next few days. The next thing to happen was the launch of the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle the very next day. At 4:07 p.m. Central Time, took off on top of a Falcon 9 rocket from Launch Complex 39A in NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This was delayed. This was a delayed launch from the previous day, and then nearly 2 days later, now about to rendezvous to the station again. Capture scheduled for 9 a.m. Central Time today. SpaceX on its way, carrying nearly 3 tons of science research supplies and hardware to the station. One right after another. Peggy Whitson continuing to report good signs as the SpaceX cargo vehicle slowly approaches the International Space Station, now passing the 170-meter mark, again passing the 200-meter keep-out sphere just a few moments ago. SpaceX again launched at 4:07 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, June 3rd, the second of many dynamic events going on for the past few days. The very next day, Sunday, June 4th, the Cygnus cargo vehicle was released at 8:10 a.m. Central Time after spending 44 days attached to the station on the Nadir port of Unity. This was released about a month ahead of schedule to accommodate the launch delay of SpaceX. Cygnus, however, was fully packed, full of trash, and of course some of the experiments that they were conducting on board, including the Sapphire experiment, spacecraft fire experiment number 3, that ignited a small piece of cotton fiberglass blend, very reminiscent of the first Sapphire experiment, except with a slower initiation burn. That was conducted yesterday. Plenty more experiments to go, but it will be deorbited next Sunday. Plenty of dynamic activities, of course, starting with June 2nd, the landing of the Soyuz spacecraft, then the launch of SpaceX, and then the departure of Cygnus, now currently orbiting the Earth, conducting experiments right before its deorbit. Now, today, June 5th, awaiting the capture of the SpaceX cargo vehicle Dragon, full of 3 tons of supplies, science research, hardware, again, capture at 9 a.m. Central Time. A great view of the Dragon spacecraft as it approaches the International Space Station, now just about to cross 150-meter point, again 150 meters away from the station, as the station and the spacecraft pass over Central Africa, 253 statute miles above the Earth. Again, it will continue to approach the station towards that 30-meter holding point. It's scheduled now to arrive there just after sunset. Sunset scheduled for 8:06 a.m. Central Time today. Dragon about 135 meters away from the space station right now. Beautiful view from the station as both of the spacecraft pass 253 statute miles over the western border of Sedan right now. Again, SpaceX Dragon packed with 3 tons of science research supplies and hardware to be delivered to the station today. Just about 2 more minutes until it gets to about 100 meters away from the International Space Station. Again, SpaceX packed with about 3 tons of scientific experiments and other supplies. Some of the experiments aboard include seedling growth number 3.
Monitor 1 is 1.5 port and half a vehicle length forward. And on monitor 3, we're about half a vehicle length starboard and lined up.
Houston copies. Peggy, Block B, nominal.
Peggy Whitson, currently in the cupola workstation aboard the International Space Station, has a great view of the SpaceX cargo vehicle. Right now they're looking at something called the cuckoo. Here's a view of it right now. You can see that the SpaceX cargo vehicle is just a little bit misaligned from that the crosshairs there. She's just reporting that that's just a little bit off, a couple meters. Everything reporting nominal here, though, in Mission Control Houston. SpaceX about to get about now 102 meters away from this space station. Now, the space station and the Dragon cargo vehicle on the eastern border of Egypt now passing right over the Red Sea. SpaceX just crossed over the 100-meter mark, still approaching its way to the International Space Station. The space station itself and cargo vehicle now passing over the western border of Saudi Arabia on a northeasterly course. Everything looking nominal. We're about 2 minutes away from a satellite handover here. SpaceX again, packed with 3 tons of scientific experiments and hardware, other things, one of which includes the Seedling Growth number 3, a joint project between NASA and the European Space Agency, now flown for the 3rd time, Seedling Growth number 3. Once it's aboard the station, seeds will be placed in what's called the European Modular Cultivation System. The seeds will be hydrated and exposed to varying conditions of light and gravity. This is an ESA research facility with the European Modular Cultivation System aboard the space station dedicating to studying plant biology and microgravity, one of the many different facilities on board dedicated to such. The seedlings will either be frozen or chemically fixed and returned to Earth for post-flight analysis on the SpaceX cargo vehicle. Another experiment on board, advanced colloids. Experiment temperature number 6. Colloids are microscopic particles suspended in liquid found in products ranging from milk to fabric softener. Consumer products often use colloidal gels and distribute specialized ingredients such as droplets, and that's soften fabrics. But the gels must serve in 2 opposite purposes. They must disperse the active ingredient so it can work, but still has to maintain an even distribution so the product does not spoil. Advanced colloids experiment temperature number 6, or for short ACE-T6, is designed to study the microscopic behavior of colloid gels and creams, providing new insight into fundamental interactions that can improve product shelf life. A view from SpaceX's Mission Control Center over in Hawthorne, California. Again, the visiting vehicle officer here, Paul Lane, talking with NASA officials over in California, relaying vehicle status and updates to the flight director here in Mission Control Houston. There in Hawthorne, California, Mission Director Brian Coffey leading the flight control team, along with Mission Manager Sarah Walker. You'll be seeing some of the views from the International Space Station and the views of the Dragon spacecraft coming in and out over the next few minutes. That's just a handover of the satellites we have on board, getting what's called KU coverage or video coverage, live video coverage of the Dragon craft as it approaches the International Space Station, now about to hit 80 meters away from the space station. Both spacecraft, International Space Station and SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle, 255 statute miles above the Earth, now passing over the Caspian Sea. You can see from the map here we're about to enter an orbital nighttime. That's about the time that some of the flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston are predicting that the SpaceX cargo vehicle will arrive at the 30-meter holding point. Again, once it arrives there, it should remain for just about 20 or so minutes as flight controllers assess to make sure that everything is okay to continue to approach the International Space Station. That will all happen during an orbital nighttime capture, still on time today for 9 a.m. Central Time. Flight controllers in SpaceX's Mission Control Center continuing to report to the visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control Houston. Even without video communications from the space station, still getting data relayed back to some of the flight control centers here. Everything's still reporting nominal. Again, many experiments on board, 3 tons of experiments and other supplies, one of which includes advanced combustion via microgravity experiments, short for ACME. This is a set of 5 independent studies of gaseous flames being conducted aboard the International Space Station. ACME's goals are to improve fuel efficiency and reduce pollutants in practical combustion on Earth. It's also expected to aid in spacecraft fire prevention, similar to spacecraft Sapphire 3, that was conducted yesterday on the Cygnus cargo craft. Through innovative research focused on materials flammability. Now regaining video communication from the International Space Station, getting great views of the Dragon cargo craft as it passes the station, now passing 256 statute miles over the northern border of Uzbekistan.
Houston Station on 2, 70 meters, Block Bravo. Monitor 1 is converging, and Monitor 3 has already converged. Nominal.
Houston copies, Block B, nominal.
Continuing to get nominal reports from the International Space Station. Again, Peggy Woodson and Jack Fisher in the Cupola workstation at the controls of the robotic arm, awaiting capture of the Dragon cargo vehicle at 9 a.m. Central Time, reporting nominal data to flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston, which you're getting a view of now. Again, the video communications from the International Space Station will be coming in and out over the next few minutes. We'll get some solid coverage just after 8 a.m. Central Time today, and that should hold for the most part throughout the hour until capture at 9 a.m. Central Time. Flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston continuing to monitor the data aboard the International Space Station and the approach of the Cygnus cargo vehicle. Cygnus now at 62 meters away from the International Space Station, approaching that 30-meter holding point. Again, that is scheduled to happen after an orbital sunset. That should happen around 8:06 or 8:07 a.m. Central Time today. Right here is the view that our 2 astronauts aboard the International Space Station now in the cupola at the controls of the robotic arm. This is the view they have of the Dragon cargo vehicle as it approaches the International Space Station. This view here, again, from the cupola workstation, that bay window that's on the nadir side or the Earth-facing side of Node 3 Tranquility. The Dragon now just about 56 meters away from the International Space Station, close enough where we're starting to get views of the space station itself. Of course, video communications intermittently will be coming in and out here over the next few minutes until the top of the hour. Just about 8 a.m. Central Time, we'll start to get more solid video communication throughout the rest of the broadcast. Closing in on 8 o'clock a.m. Central Time here in Houston, Texas, over in Mission Control Center, the SpaceX Mission Control Center in Hawthorne, California, closing in on 6 a.m. Early morning for the teams here as they're watching the Dragon vehicle slowly approaching the International Space Station, again going towards that 30-meter holding point. That'll happen once the International Space Station and the Dragon cargo vehicle cross the terminator line into an orbital sunset. Again, the Dragon, packed with 3 tons of experiments, hardware, and other supplies, heading on its way to the International Space Station capture again at 9 a.m. Central Time. We've gone through a few of the experiments on board. Another one is the NanoRacks. This is a company of Houston, again, that will provide commercial hardware and services supporting several experiments flown to the U.S. National Laboratory aboard the space station. NanoRacks provides low-cost services, many supporting opportunities for students in middle and high school to develop investigations to be conducted in the microgravity environment of the International Space Station, the unique microgravity environment. Such programs provide young scholars with hands-on experience in disciplines of science, technology, engineering, math, any STEM kind of field. The goal is to encourage these students to pursue careers in the fields that support NASA research. Getting video communications from the ISS now. The Dragon cargo vehicle you can see from the Cuckoo workstation. This is the monitor that our 2 astronauts, Peggy Whitson and Jack Fisher, aboard the International Space Station in the cupola. This is the monitor they are getting a view of. You can see on the right there some of the data relay that they're getting as the monitor, the telemetry data that they're getting as the monitor is looking at the Dragon cargo vehicle, now at just about 43 meters away from the station, again heading towards that 30-meter holding point. The visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control Houston predicting an early arrival to the 30-meter holding point. We may be able to see the Dragon within the daylight, within an orbital daylight, as it approaches that 30-meter holding point, just a few minutes ahead of schedule. Sunset still scheduled for just about 8:06 or 8:07 a.m. Central Time. Spacecraft is set to remain there for just about 20 or so minutes before it continues to close in closer to the International Space Station. But we may be able to see it get to that 30-meter holding point with still the light of day shining upon the spacecraft. Again, a camera set up from the inside of the cupola workstation. You're seeing the reflection and maybe the camera peeking in from this view. Again, Jack Fisher and Peggy Whitson, both NASA astronauts, at the controls within that workstation. They're at the controls for the station's robotic arm that will be used to capture the cargo vehicle. The International Space Station and the Dragon spacecraft now crossing over the northern border of China into an orbital sunset.
Station Houston on 2, please confirm the 30-meter hold per step 4 in 1.102, and you have a go to maneuver to high hover.
1.102, step 4, we can verify that we are in hold. Our primary range is 296.63, 29.63 and 29.76.
Houston copies. That sounds good.
And still with just a little bit of light shining upon the spacecraft, confirmation from Peggy Whitson aboard the International Space Station that Dragon is indeed holding at the 30-meter point. Now the International Space Station and the spacecraft will cross into an orbital nighttime. Space station at 256 statute miles above the Earth, now over the northern border of China. We'll start seeing the view of the Dragon spacecraft just get a little bit darker as the teams assess whether or not to depart the 30-meter holding point. The camera's turning on the International Space Station, providing a good view of the SpaceX cargo vehicle, now 30 meters away from the International Space Station, now getting a good shot of the station's robotic arm. This is the arm that will be used to capture the spacecraft. Again, Peggy Whitson and Jack Fisher aboard the International Space Station at the controls, ready to use the station's robotic arm for the capture. This is the view they're getting, the workstation, the view they're getting of the workstation aboard the International Space Station in the cupola. This is called the cuckoo. Relays telemetry data to the two astronauts in the cupola, getting some telemetry data as the Dragon gets closer to the International Space Station, still right now holding at the 30-meter point, but they'll be using that as they guide the station's robotic arm for capture.
Satellite, Jugu, will be visible in 2
Still
minutes.
getting a little bit of light from the sun as the station and the Dragon spacecraft pass 253 statute miles over the Sea of Japan, just east of the border of Russia. Now the light starting to fade away. We're entering an orbital nighttime. During that orbital nighttime, ground teams here in Mission Control Houston, and of course working with the flight controllers in Hawthorne, California at SpaceX's Mission Control Center, will assess whether or not to depart that 30-meter holding point and get into its capture position.
Satellite, Jugu, will be visible in 1 minute.
So you can see from the Cuckoo workstation the view that we're getting of that monitor that's currently aboard the International Space Station. This is what our two astronauts are looking at right now. Everything seems to be lining up. The Dragon cargo vehicle now holding at 30 meters. Flight controllers here and in Hawthorne, California will assess, make sure everything's okay to depart that 30-meter holding point and get towards its capture position. That should be just around 10 meters, give or take a few meters. That should just give it enough room for the station's robotic arm to move into position and actually grab the station's cargo vehicle, the SpaceX cargo vehicle. Again, it'll be Peggy Whitson and Jack Fisher currently in the cupola at the controls to perform that action. For today, once the cargo vehicle is captured, we will wrap up our coverage there. NASA TV will not be providing any live coverage of the installation. That activity can be found on nasa.gov. You can see from the Cuckoo workstation and the camera on the end of the station's robotic arm, in motion right now, getting into its position, awaiting the departure of the SpaceX Dragon to depart the 30-meter holding point and get into its capture position. Again, once in that position, Jack Fisher and Peggy Whitson aboard the International Space Station will use the station's robotic arm to grapple, to capture the Dragon cargo vehicle. Station's robotic arm has maneuvered into its position. This is a view from the camera at the end of that. Again, maneuvered to position, looking at the Dragon cargo vehicle about 30 meters away. Flight controllers here assessing whether to depart that 30-meter holding point and start approaching the station to its capture position. Once in the capture position, that should be sometime right after sunrise. Flight controllers looking to actually give the go for capture while the station and the cargo vehicle are within great view with an orbital sunrise and some daylight to be able to see the activities going on today. Right now, sunrise scheduled for just about 8:40 a.m. Central Time.
Houston Station, the SSRMS is in high hover position.
Houston copies. It looks good.
Confirmation from Peggy Whitson aboard the International Space Station. Everything's looking good from the view from the cupola workstation, and the station's robotic arm is oriented into position. Now flight controller is continuing to assess. We're going around the room now, assessing the 30-meter departure. That should happen again while we're in orbital sunset, and it should arrive at its capture position at about 10 meters, give or take a few meters from the station just after sunrise. Then we'll be go for capture. Right now, still scheduled for 9 a.m. Central Time.
Houston, station on 2. The crew's ready for Dragon approach to capture point.
Houston copies. Station Houston on 2. Dragon is ready to proceed to the capture point. Expect approach to resume shortly.
Copies.
Nicole Mann, the Capcom in Mission Control Houston today, telling word to Peggy Woodson and Jack Fisher in the workstation, the cupola workstation. We are go here in Mission Control Houston and in SpaceX's Mission Control Center in Hawthorne, California. Everything looks good to depart the 30-meter holding point and start approaching the International Space Station to the capture point, about 10 meters, give or take a few meters from the International Space Station. With a confirmation from aboard, Peggy Woodson will let us know when everything's looking good, and Dragon has departed that 30-meter holding point and is closing into the ISS.
Station Houston on 2. Dragon has begun approach from 30 meters. Monitor per step 5 in 1.102.
5 in 1.102.
Confirmation from Jack Fisher aboard the International Space Station. Everything looks good. Now departing that 30-meter holding point, going towards 29 meters already. You'll start seeing from the Cuckoo workstation the telemetry data relaying that Dragon is approaching that capture point.
In Houston, station on 2 for Black Bravo. Both monitors are showing half a width starboard and forward of the center.
Houston copies. Block B nominal.
V mode. Yes, copy. And forgot to mention VV mode is approach and range is decreasing.
Houston copies, Peggy. Looks good.
Peggy Woodson aboard relaying the telemetry data as she sees it from this view, the Cuckoo workstation. The Dragon now approaching the capture point, departing that 30-meter holding point, relaying that everything looks good, and confirmation from Nicole Mann, the Capcom here, that all of this data is nominal. On its way to the capture point, ready for a capture scheduled today at 9 a.m. Central Time.
In Houston Station on 2, we're at 25 meters, and both offsets are decreasing, converging on both cameras.
Houston copies, Block B nominal.
Peggy Whitson checking in at 25 meters away from the station, still approaching that capture point. Everything looking good on its way so far, slow and steady to that capture point. From the view of the station's robotic arm, now starting to read the word SpaceX on the top of the vehicle as it approaches, now closer to 20 meters away from the International Space Station. A great view of both Dragon and the station's robotic arm now coming into view slowly as it just passes 18 meters away from the International Space Station. The capture point should be around 10 or give or take a few meters away from the station. SpaceX Dragon just passed the 17-meter mark, still closing on its way to the International Space Station. You can see it coming into view now with both the cargo craft and the station's robotic arm in view. At the controls for the station's robotic arm, again, Jack Fisher and Peggy Whitson in the cupola workstation at the controls there. Once the SpaceX Dragon arrives at its capture position, 10 or so meters away from the station, they'll get the go to take the station's robotic arm and move it into capture the vehicle from the view of the robotic arm. From the camera of the robotic arm, you'll be able to see the sort of three-pronged capture marker that they will kind of zoom in on. "15 meters and closing. Dragon should be arriving at its captured position soon. Now 8:33 a.m. Central Time. An orbital sunrise we should be expecting around 8:40 a.m. Central Time. We'll start seeing both the station's robotic arm and the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle illuminated by that sunrise. Just about 13 meters and closing on to that capture position. Now the station's robotic arm and SpaceX cargo vehicle very close, ready to get to that point. Again, capture scheduled today for 9 a.m. Central Time. We should be seeing a sunrise in just about 5 minutes. Dragon cargo vehicle very close to its capture position. We should be receiving confirmation of its arrival to that point very shortly.
Station Houston on 2, please confirm capture point hold per step 6 in 1.102.
1.102. Houston Station on 2, we can verify that the BD mode is CP hold. The primary range is 10.86, and the rate is 0.000. The CCP LED config is as expected, and we are in a good config. And crew is ready for capture when lighting conditions are available.
Station Houston copies, stand by for capture.
Standing by.
Confirmation from Peggy Whitson aboard the International Space Station, looking at her cuckoo monitor, the same view we're getting right now. The spacecraft, the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft, has just arrived to its capture position.
Until we have good lighting.
We concur.
Again, the Dragon has just arrived to its capture position, just about almost 11 meters away from the International Space Station. Just as we can start seeing an orbital sunrise there at the bottom left of your screen, right when the lighting conditions are sufficient, we'll be doing a go, no-go for capture. They're actually starting to go around the room right now to use that station's robotic arm to capture the SpaceX vehicle. Now seeing an orbital sunrise, the station and the Dragon, 260 statute miles over the South Pacific Ocean, going into an orbital sunrise approaching the western coast of Chile. Once lighting conditions are sufficient, flight control teams here will give the crew the go, again Peggy Whitson and Jack Fisher, the go for capture. They'll start using the station's robotic arm to capture the Dragon spacecraft. The spacecraft has arrived to its capture point just a bit early. Again, capture scheduled for 9 a.m. Central Time today. That may move up. We may be capturing the SpaceX Dragon vehicle just a bit early today. Still awaiting for that go, no-go call to be called up to the crew. An expected loss of video communications from the station. Dragon's still holding at its capture point just about 11 meters away from the International Space Station. This loss of communication was expected. The last one, right after we regain communications, it should hold all throughout that capture window that we have today. A go, no go from here in Mission Control Houston being conducted. We should relay that information working with flight controllers over in Mission Control Center, SpaceX Mission Control Center over in Hawthorne, California.
Station Houston on 2, go for capture sequence. Perform step 4 in 1.110 Dragon capture. Begin monitoring the back away cue card.
Copy. Step 4, 1.110, and the back away cue card.
The go for capture. You heard that call from the Capcom Nicole Mann here in Mission Control Houston. Confirmation of that command from Peggy Whitson on the International Space Station. They should be starting the initiation for the capture sequence using the station's robotic arm to capture this Dragon cargo vehicle. This is a bit earlier than expected. Go for capture just about 9 minutes ahead of schedule. Again, capture again was scheduled today for 9 a.m. Central Time. We may be capturing the Dragon a bit early today. Dragon still holding at 11.3 meters away from the space station. We should be getting confirmation when the station's robotic arm is in motion, ready for capture. Starting to get great views of both SpaceX and the Earth. Space Station and Dragon just about 261 statute miles above the Earth, just about to cross over the southern border of Chile.
In Houston, station on 2, we're ready for motion for capture.
Houston copies. We're good to go.
And movement of the station's robotic arm has begun. Confirmation from Capcom Nicole Mann, Peggy Whitson aboard the International Space Station, relaying that information. Both Peggy Whitson and Jack Fisher now in the Cupola workstation using the robotic arm today to capture SpaceX. Again, we're looking at a capture time a little bit ahead of schedule, originally planned for 9 a.m. Central Time. Station's robotic arm is currently in movement. Dragon is holding at its capture position, everything looking nominal so far. We're relaying the capture information to you step by step as we start getting closer to capturing the Dragon today. Now 3 meters away from capture. Two meters from capture. One meter to capture. Reporting a good alignment so far. Over the pin. Capture in progress. Still holding, awaiting for the snares to close.
And Houston Station on 2, capture complete. Go for post-capture reconfiguration.
Houston copies. Capture complete.
And Houston, just a few words about catching this Dragon. We want to thank the entire team on the ground that made this possible, both in Hawthorne and Houston. Really, around the whole world, from support in Canada for this wonderful robotic arm, Kennedy Space Center's launch support, to countless organizations which prepared the experiments in cargo. These people have supplied us with a vast amount of science and supplies, really fuel for the engine and innovation we get to call home, the International Space Station. 15 years to the day after Peggy's first flight here, the ISS is continually improving in its mission of discovery. So for that, we thank our team. We also want to note the special significance of SpaceX 11, which, if we follow the naming convention of the artist Prince, could be called the SpaceX formerly known as SpaceX 4. That's right, it's flying its second mission to the ISS, launched off a first stage which landed back at Kennedy Space Center for its next flight. The last time we had a return visitor to the ISS was STS-135 in July of 2011, when Atlantis secured the shuttle's legendary place in history. We have a new generation of vehicles now, led by commercial partners like SpaceX, as they build the infrastructure that will carry us into the future of exploration. So again, thank you to the team, and congratulations to the team for a job well done. Now we better get back to work. We have a lot of stuff to unload.
And thanks for that, Two Fish, on behalf of SpaceX and the NASA team. Congratulations to you, and thanks to you and Peggy for all your hard work and preparation on board. Two Fish, you sure made that look easy. Now we're looking forward to getting Dragon birthed so we can knock out some science.
Thanks, Houston.
And with that confirmed capture of the Dragon SpaceX cargo vehicle to the International Space Station, some great congratulatory words from Jack Fisher, now in the cupola workstation aboard the International Space Station. That capture time is 8:52 a.m. Central Time, as the space station and Dragon were flying 260 statute miles over the South Atlantic Ocean just east off the coast of Argentina. And with that, a successful mission, SpaceX's Dragon cargo vehicle on its 11th cargo commercial resupply mission to the International Space Station, as hinted by Jack Fisher in his congratulatory words. This was the same reused capsule that was used in CRS-4, now on its 11th contracted resupply mission to the International Space Station. Again, that capture time 8:52 a.m. Central Time today. Station and Dragon were 260 statute miles over the South Atlantic Ocean, just east off the coast of Argentina, after launching 4:07 p.m. Central Time on June 3rd, just over the weekend. After a less than 2-day rendezvous, the Dragon now arriving at the International Space Station with 3 tons of scientific experiments, cargo, hardware to the International Space Station. Again, 8:52 a.m. Central Time today, ahead of schedule. Congratulations to the teams here at Mission Control Houston, to the crew aboard the International Space Station, and to, of course, the flight control team and the workers over at SpaceX Mission Control Center in Hawthorne, California. With that, we will wrap up our coverage of the capture of the SpaceX cargo vehicle to the International Space Station today. Stay tuned for updates on the Dragon being berthed to the International Space Station. I'll reiterate that NASA TV will not be providing live coverage of that event. For updates on the berthing and the hatch opening of the SpaceX cargo vehicle to the International Space Station, please visit nasa.gov/ISS or nasa.gov/station. They'll bring you to the same website. You can see some of the updates there. Again, launched 4:07 p.m. Central Time Saturday, June 3rd. Capture at 8:52 a.m. Central Time today. 260 statute miles above the Earth over the South Atlantic Ocean just east off the coast of Argentina. That will wrap up our coverage today of the capture of SpaceX's CRS-11 mission to the International Space Station. Congratulations to all teams involved. This is Mission Control, Houston.